What's up, you guys? We're going to be working on a project today. It's going to be a gift for a friend. It's going to be a serving platter with a resin river going through the middle of it. I'm going to do it a little differently than I've done some of my other stuff, just to see if I can make it easier. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cut, make sure you can see it, I'm going to cut the river on my CNC. I'm going to do it out of this this just straight board. We're not going to do two pieces, we're going to do the straight board. What I'm going to do is I'm going to carve a pocket, and this is 15 inches long. I want the serving board to be 13 inches long, so I got 2 inches to play with. And so I'm going to carve out a pocket, a river pocket, that's going to go almost to the edge, but it's not, and it's going to have some left. So all I got to do is pour the epoxy in there, the colored epoxy in there, let it harden, then I can carve down the sides up to it, and it looks like it was poured all the way to the edge. And it should be a lot easier this way. First time doing it this way, so you guys are going to learn along with me, and let's see how it goes. Alright, we're pulling out the big boy on this one. Let's see if you can see it. I'm pulling out a 1/4 inch spiral end mill upcut bit. Ordered this off of Amazon. It's a bad boy. It cuts really fast. So this is one we're going to use to clear out the pocket that we're going to pour the epoxy in. Alright, so I actually decided against doing any of the pockets. Reason being is because I kind of want this just a flat serving platter. And I'm not going to really be putting handles on it or anything like that. So just decided to go with, I wanted to see how this worked out just doing the cutout for the resin river instead of adding all these other things. I'm going to try the other stuff in a different project. I just wanted to see how this one goes. So one thing I like to do after carving, before I do anything with epoxy, I take some mineral spirits and I wipe it down to get it nice and clean. So it gets hopefully all the any dirt or grime or anything kind of off of it. Cleans the surface really well. Try to get in all through there. Alright, a little bit more. Alright. Do the sides of it. Alright, and then this side right here. Alright, that should get it nice and clean. I'll let that dry. And once that's dry, we'll go ahead and start getting ready to do the epoxy. So, we got this thing all cleaned up. Put that mineral spirits on there, got it nice and clean. Make sure there's, any dust that's in there, get it out if you can. And so like I said, we're going to be pouring epoxy in here, and we're going to let it in this pocket, and we're going to let it cure completely. And then once it's cured completely, we're going to cut it right along the edge so it looks like the epoxy. You can see the epoxy on the side. This is just going to make it easier, okay? Alright, so what the epoxy I use is Incredible Solutions Tabletop Epoxy. It's a 1-to-1 thing. I got it off of where did I get it? I got it off of Amazon. I think I got it on sale, and it was like $58 or something like that. We're going to be making this, the epoxy, we're going to be tinting it green, envy, through black diamond. And I'm going to add just a little bit of pure pearl white in there just to give it a little bit of white sheen too. This is my measuring cup. I love these things. I get the big one and then a small one too. has the different ratios depending on what epoxy you use. Since ours is a 1-to-1 ratio, I'll use this setup right here. I always struggle with finding with pouring enough. So if you know a trick, leave it in the comments. Let me know a trick to knowing how much epoxy to use, because usually I end up pouring way too much, because the first couple times I ended up doing too little, and then I had to remix it and try to get the coloring right, and I didn't get the coloring to completely match, so you could tell that there's two different pours in there. So this one I want to make sure I get enough, and epoxy sinks whenever it hardens, so it compresses a little bit. So I want to pour it just a little over the top, and hopefully it sinks down, which is, if it goes below the edge over there, if it goes under the edge after it cures, that's fine, because I got a planer and we'll plane it down. So what I'm going to do now, I'll do it in fast motion so you're not going to watch it. I'm going to pour 3. Yeah, I'll probably do 3, or maybe, probably 3, just to make sure I have enough. And then we'll get it all mixed up. I got to mix this for 5 minutes, and then I will slow it down once everything's mixed, and you can see how I add the tint to it. So, all right, time to get busy. Oh, actually, let me mention, I should be having gloves when I do this, and I should have my respirator on, but it's downstairs in my wood shop and it's pouring rain, so you'll just have to take my word for it. When you do it in a well ventilated area. Have either a dust mask on, definitely have gloves on, and don't do as I do right now. So just wanted to point that out. Alright, so we got it mixed up. Mixed for 5 minutes. I don't know if you can see, but that's the consistency once you get it mixed up. It's pretty thick stuff, but it's not too bad. So let's get the coloring in it. I actually changed my mind. I forgot I ordered some new pigment and I want to try it. This one's called Cobalt Blue, and it is also by Black Diamond. Love Black Diamond, they have great stuff. Alright, so I'm still going to put some of the pearl white in there. This open, haven't used this before. It does not take much. Oh shoot, I'm trying to drop that. Does not take much of this stuff. It's mica powder, so we're gonna start with about that right there. Let's see where that gets us. Let's see if we make, oh well, if I don't spill the pigment, so I will probably need some more. That stuff mixed in there good, and I'm going to need some more of it, I can already tell. So let's get some more in there. This stuff, it works great for cutting, for like little cutting boards and serving platters like this. This epoxy, it is not good for big river resin tables because it has a pretty fast reaction time. You got about 5 minutes after it's fully mixed to get it poured. So gotta kind of work a little fast. And let's go just a little bit more. I want this color to be really bright. And I may be adding too much, but like I said, I've done a little bit of epoxy work, not a ton, so I'm still learning. So kind of see what color this gives us once I mix this up good. Oh yeah, that looks nice and bright. All right, now I want to add some little bit of white to it, not much. This is pure pearl white. We're just going to add just a little bit in there, like that right there. Get that closed up. if you can see it or not. Got that mixed in there. Let's give that a good mix. Oh yeah, that's gonna be sexy. All right. All right. All right, now that I made a mess, let's get these things out of the way. And let's hope I made enough epoxy. I think I did. I think I made too much again, but that's okay. Let's get all this out of the way. Make sure I'm still in frame so you can see it. Yep, looks good. All right. Now we're gonna get this poured in there. Hold this right like here. Actually, let me go and take this out because it's mixed up. I'm not gonna be doing any more mixing, hopefully. All right, so we got that right there. Let's go ahead and do some pouring. We want to bring it right up as close to the edge without it going over as we can. It's gonna, like I said, it's gonna compress a little bit. So if you can get it to where it's over the edge just slightly without it going over, that's great. Oh yeah, this color is just amazing. And the reason I want to do it like this is exactly why what I got right now is because it's contained in that, right? So normally the way I do it is I have two pieces, I have two slabs. I build a box around it, put certain special tape where it doesn't stick, and then put this over here. And then we pour the epoxy and it kind of runs underneath, and it's a lot of work. And I'm hoping with doing it like this is it's gonna cut down on a lot of this work. So you basically cut out a little bit. Once this fully cures, I'm going to cut with my table saw right down that way, and I get a pretty good looking serving platter. Now, you get, if you've ever worked with epoxy, you know, you get bubbles through it that come up. So I got my little plumber's torch and just getting the heat on it enough to get the bubbles away and bring that pretty blue coloring out. You don't want to stay in one spot too long. Want to get all the the bubbles out. And you're going to have to keep coming back and checking. The bubbles are going to keep coming up. A way to stop that is because oxygen's going to come up through the wood. So a way I could have stopped that is taking some epoxy, clear epoxy, and painting the epoxy in and sealing all that grain. And then once that's dry, then doing the pour. So maybe that's something I can do next time. We'll see. Right now, this color, I'm going to bring it close so you can see. Hold on just a second. This color just looks absolutely amazing. I'm glad I went to the blue and adding that up. There we go, sorry. Let's see, there we go. Adding that pearl white just gives it just, adjust it so you can see better. There we go. See right there. It's hard to pick up on camera, but it has just this little bit of white tint through it. And I'm gonna have to hit it with bubbles again, because there's some of the spots, I don't know if you can see, bubbles are coming back up. So you can see the bubbles popping through and the color comes back. There we go. Ah, it's pretty. Alright, so we're going to let this cure for at least 24 hours. Once it's cured, I'll cut the edges off, run it through the planer once or twice. Actually, I'm probably going to run it through the planer first. And then cut the edges off. And I haven't decided yet what I'm doing with what's going to be left with this side right here. I was going to cut out some circles and squares on it, but kind of decided against that. And so we're going to just keep it like a simple serving platter, not putting any handles on or anything like that. The stain, I don't know if I'm going to put any type of finish on this. Once I'm done, whatever I decide to do, whether if I put any finish on it or not, what I'll do is I'll put cutting board oil. It's a not sure exactly what's in it. Once I get to that stage, I'll show you. But that's it for right now. So the next stage will be letting this cure, and then we'll get it sanded down, buffed, and be finishing it up. So I wanted to show you the color now that it's set for just a little bit. One thing you can do, you can drag especially with the white in there. That's why I like putting the not opposite, but another color in there. So when you drag a stirring stick through it, you can kind of make designs a little bit. So that's a design I kind of made through, and let's see if it'll stay. I've done it sometimes and the design has stayed, and then sometimes it hasn't stayed. So we'll see if this stays or not. But anyway, I wanted to show you that color and just how absolutely gorgeous cobalt blue is. Alright, so we got the planer set and ready to use. Make sure you're wearing your hearing protection with these and your eye protection. Don't have any loose clothing. I always tuck my strings for my hoodie inside my hoodie with this. Planer is very dangerous, so you gotta make sure you're being careful with this. Let me get it going. I'm not going to take off much, just enough to where it's even and flat, and then once we do that, we'll get it sanded. All right, here we go. All right, you guys, so here's how it looks after it's trimmed down. We've got that little section right there, and then the top. So now what we need to do is sand it down. I'm going to start with 80, work up to 120, then in the 200s, 300s, and work my way up to about 800 until I get a pretty good finish on it. And then once I'm done that, I'm going to wipe it down with some mineral spirits and decide what I'm going to do with the wood. I'm not 100% sure yet what I'm going to do. It's either going to be I'm going to leave it natural wood like that, or I'm going to stain the wood and a little bit darker. So I'm going to see how it looks after I'm done sanding it down, and we'll go from there. And I forgot to mention too before we get started is when you're sanding, especially when you're sanding epoxy, really any sanding, make sure you wear your dust mask. You don't want to breathe in all that crap. So just wanted to point that out. Now we'll get started. Alright, so we got that all nice and smooth. Take off my mask. Got that all nice and smooth. Now we're going to flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. Work our way up on the grits. so it's nice and smooth, even though, I mean, the other side's not going to have anything but wood like that, but I still want it to look nice and smooth on it, especially if we decide to put some stain on it. I'm not going to show you that portion of it. I'll bring the video back once it's time to wipe it down and kind of see what it looks like. Alright, we got both sides sanded down now. Let's wipe away some of this sawdust and kind of see what we got going on here. And then we'll figure out what we're doing for oh shoot, if I don't spill it over everywhere. Alright, here we go. Oh yeah, that is sexy. Look at that. Oh man, that is pretty. Gosh, that epoxy, moving that epoxy around the way we did, just really took it up to another level. Look at that. Man. Beautiful. Alright, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to wipe the rest of it down, let it dry, and then we'll get started on, I guess, the staining. I'm still not 100% sure what I want to do, whether I want to stain it or not. I'm going to think over it a little bit and kind of see where we're at and see what it looks like when it's dry. I think I am going to probably put some stain on it. I'm going to take some pictures with it like this, and then with some stain on it, we can all decide whether I should have added the stain or not. All right, so after that thing's dried out, you can kind of see it's a little dull. So this cutting board oil, Howard cutting board oil, I've used it for other stuff, other cutting boards that I've done, and it's turned out really well. Seasons it really well. So we got to put 3 coats of that on there. We'll put first coat, let it dry for an hour or so, and then go ahead and put more coats on it. And like I said, I put about 3 on there, and it brings the color back and makes it nice. Let me go ahead and put a little bit on there just so you can kind of see how it looks after I probably putting too much on there. I am putting way too much, but just wanted you to see kind of. Hold on, let me wipe this away. And then you can see it brings that color right back to it. How pretty that looks. Alright. So let me wipe this down. And then I'll bring you back after I'm done with the... Actually, I decided to keep this color instead of doing the stain. Just because I didn't want to risk the stain messing up the epoxy. I'm not sure if it would or not. I would have wiped it away, obviously, but didn't want to take that risk with how good this turned out, so I'm just going to leave it natural like this. And let me go ahead and season this a few more times, and we'll do the finish up video. Alright y'all, so we are done putting on all the coats of the cutting board oil. This is what we're left with. It's a nice little matte finish on it, but it's nice and seasoned. It's ready for, the wood is nice and protected and seasoned for, you know, whatever, cheese platter, something like that. I'll add a picture at the end. One of these other boards that I've done being used as kind of like a platter that you put stuff on. But man, these make such great gifts. And the way we did it, I mean, I know I have a CNC machine, I have a planer and all that crap, but I always didn't have all that stuff, and I've made these before without it. You know, you could take a router, a plunge router, and carve out a pocket like I did with the CNC machine. You don't have to plane it. You can pour the epoxy in and then sand it down with a palm sander. So there's ways to make this stuff. I know sometimes it's kind of annoying when you see these videos and like, oh yeah, this guy's got, you know, $1,000 worth of equipment he's using, but it wasn't always like that. So just wanted to let you know, man, these are possible without all this equipment. But these make wonderful gifts. I love how that turned out right there. And this is way easier than doing it the old way. So I'm going to make a bunch of these and take them to festivals. And anyway, I hope this video helps. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We got more videos coming out. Hopefully, I'm trying to do a couple videos a week. And hopefully it helps you guys. Anyway, have a good week. Bye.